Go ahead and call this first quarter meeting of the Landfill Advisory Committee to order. We have a quorum here. And if everybody has a moment to take a look over the previous meeting's minutes from the fourth quarter last year, make any comments on it, adjustments, those will be entertained. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion to approve previous meetings.
You got you.
Yeah. Thank you for putting all this out, Krista. Okay, motion on the table to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Doesn't require a second, so call the question. All in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. So moved and passed. Open up the public comment section. Anybody has any comments from the floor or online?
Thankful to the land for taking care of us and for the water. Here. Stinky.
And we don't have anybody online, do we?
We do.
And no emails submitted or anything for the meeting? All right, unless there are any other public comments, that concludes that section of the agenda. Brian, would you like to update us? Landfill, please.
Yes, sir. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With obviously 2022 in the books, I just thought it appropriate just to recap some of the figures for 2022 and some things coming up this year as well. And I can't believe Patty didn't join us for her first one. Yeah.
Master,
Yeah.
the look she gave me.
He has emeritus status.
So 2022, we ended the year with 915,941 tons for the year. That's actually a reduction year over year from 2021. A little over 57,000 tons lower year over year, about 6% reduction. Some of that was rail. 2022, we did see, we ended with 730,000, a little over 730,000 tons came off the rail. In 2021, it was a little over 745,000. So obviously most of it wasn't rail as far as the year over year reduction from 2021 to 2022. It was mainly two things, in addition to the rail, that caused the delta year over year. That was Ivy Transfer Station that's located outside of Charlottesville. That came up for bid. We had it for years, and then Old Dominion ended up getting it. Republic, one of our competitors. So that's going to Old Dominion. So we lost that through the year, and then there was a big event job in 2021 that wasn't repeated in 2022. All that being said, the tons that did increase was actually the Amelia tons. They actually increased a little bit year over year. That comes from within the county. That was about 11% increase year over year from 2021 to 2022 on that. Host fees, we ended, and obviously as goes the tons, goes the host fees, right? It's a tiered structure. So 2022, we ended the year a little over 2.7 $2.78 million in host fees. And that is, and when I'm talking host fees strictly, my calculation does not include the gas host fees. That's a whole separate thing. So I'm strictly talking about just tons. So a little over, so $2.78 million dollars in host fees compared to 2021, $3.11 million in host fees. So about a 10% reduction in host fees. This been some of these notes here would be in addition. I saw the last board report. We installed the 3 groundwater wells. We had the kids out again for the Tire Amnesty Day, which that was a good event. And then coming up this year, not a whole lot coming up. We've got the Spring into Green that we're going to be a part of again. The construction this year would be cell 24 BC. So cell 24, about 9.5 acres. And then just ancillary things associated with that, pump houses, that sort of thing. But the construction slated for this year, cell 24 BC. The odor control results, going back to the pilot. So they did conclude, Buyer Scientific did conclude the rail car study, the pilot. Mixed results, more, all results are good. It was mixed results. They had some good, some neutral results. They tested the sample, included 70 rail cars. So a big sample population. And it's more to come. So this was just the pilot. Good quantitative data came out of it, hard analytical data, but nothing. Bottom line is, because of where the fire ports are located, so if you recall, that's the fire port's on top of the can, right? So the only way to access it was through there. They don't think, the Buyer Scientific doesn't think they got enough to permeate down into the whole mass of the rail car can. And that bottom layer seemed to be more compacted. I mean, they had a 6 foot probe going into it to inject it, but they don't think it was uniform without. So what it's going to go back to, we have a follow-up call actually Monday, but what it's going to go back to is, and what their recommendation is we need, and then this goes back to, we need to be able to control the loading, is to apply in the loading process as it's being loaded, so that it permeates the whole. They had good analytical results, but not enough to make it conclusive that they had 3 products. They called X, Y, and Z, and we have a non-disclosure with them, so it's all, we don't even know what the products are per se, as far as the. And theirs is new. Buyers is more nutrient based, because they do, if you recall, like Buyers does a lot of stuff with the marijuana business as well, because as those have become more legalized in the farms, actually marijuana, it stinks, right? So that's actually how they got into a lot of their business. It's pretty interesting, but bottom line, more to come on that. So they were able to do the pilot. They did finish it. It was 70 cans. What we think is, either if we can't get it in there, on the tipping floor up there, is, do we retrofit all the cans to add a side port, a side injection port, something like that. But the the process worked, which is, I was worried about the logistical part of it, especially up there and the quarters and everything up there. I was more worried about that. So it was good that the process worked, that it can be done. Not directly loading, but we were able to get on the side tracks and be able to at least inject 70 of them. So more to come on that. That again, we actually have a call Monday about that with Fire Scientific and the folks up there.
All the trash now is gonna smell like marijuana, right?
I don't know. That was no. I hope not. Unless somebody threw some in there. The hiring front, it seems to have leveled out some. We're definitely getting more applicants when we put out ads. We have two requisitions out now. We still see some churn, but that's kind of leveled out as well. And we seem to be getting more applicants coming through, which just seems to be the whole, just in general, the workplace leveling out that way.
Do you still have openings?
We do. We have two openings.
Okay.
Yeah. Two, a laborer and heavy equipment operator too. Yeah. And that is all I had on my notes.
I had a question about, I guess, to bring us up to date from the previous meeting. The backup alarm letter had been transmitted up the chain. Any news on that?
No news that as far as the WM as a company is currently not considering changing that currently. And I say currently because you don't know. I mean, that's the decision now that they're not gonna change for one site, it's either gonna be uniform across the country or that. So currently they have no plans in place to either dictate to Caterpillar, Volvo that we want these, or that they're going to retrofit all the yellow wiring throughout the country.
Would there be a consideration of doing a pilot study, just as with the odor?
I have asked for a variance.
Okay.
Yes. I have not heard back on my variance, but I have. And one of the things they were kind of, we kind of went back and forth and obviously they were like, even if we changed, and we've all talked about this, if we changed all of ours, that, doesn't mean the truckers can change or the contractors that we have. And I said, yeah, I get it. So.
I hear more of the new high frequency, or whatever, I guess it'd be a high frequency backup alarm in Richmond periodically, and they do make a difference.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, I think Amazon runs them too. Because I think when Amazon comes to the house,
we have some logging near us right now that's about 3/4 of a mile away, and all the skidders, feller bunchers have the backup alarms on them, and I thought about giving them some of those for Christmas.
County could make a rule that if you do business of a certain volume, I don't know, there's power for.
Well, the county does have a rule. It's 68 decibels at the property line. So there is a county rule for that.
Okay. Well, if you hear anything on that front, when you hear something on that front, let us know.
I will. Yes, I've not given up on that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Well, thank you very much for the update on that front.
Yes, sir.
I did have one other question. The Amelia tonnage, that's up 11%. Does that consist primarily of non-fee residue, or is that a mixture of both?
The 11% increase is strictly free disposal.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what that encompasses is all the convenience centers.
Mhm.
And then if a citizen, or business, exempt business brings it in direct.
But am I correct in saying we also have non-exempt businesses in the county?
Yeah, and they would be under either,
That would be on a normal fee
a
schedule.
credit card charge or their own account or, like they would have their own account.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's 10% down is pretty, but you were saying a lot of that is related to the Ivy contract going to Republic?
The pay tons, yeah.
Pay tons, yeah.
Yeah, municipal tons and stuff. Yeah, that was event work. So in 2021, there was a big event job. Ivy, and then a little bit of rail.
Mhm. And correct me if I'm, because I don't know the kind of long history of this, but in terms of fluctuation in the host fee as well as tonnage, how does that look over the years? Maybe some of the other committee members know that as well. Double digit change is
That's
notable.
big change. Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Kind of over, I guess, a 10-year perspective.
What do I have on back to? I just have 2000. I mean, we have it all at the office, but this is 2019. But 2019 is when rail started. So that the tons are going to be, over 2 million every year because of that.
Yeah, prior to the rail and when you got the contracts up from up north, I mean, it was getting very, very low.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a concept of volatility from year to year, just for picture.
It depends on what snapshot you kind of look. I mean, you can look at tons since we opened in 93. And things were, pretty busy back then, but as far as off the road traffic, street traffic, we had some rail back then. That's when it came in box cars. You've seen, and again, the tons and host fees ebb and flow because it's a tiered system. But you've seen accounts come, accounts go. You'll get event work that may last a month, may last 2 years, like the Duke Ash by rail. That was event work, but it lasted over a year. That was over 1 million tons, if I recall, that came in by rail. But it was still event work, it wasn't base. So we look at base and event. We've lost, just like, for instance, if you pulled out rail, if you know rail and you looked at stuff across the years, our biggest accounts from 93 to recently, our biggest accounts were municipal transfer stations that we had T&D agreements with. And municipal being it was a municipality, and so it was a county or city owned transfer station, and we had transportation and disposal agreements with them. So they would everything in the county would go to that transfer station. The county would load it, and then they would bring us tipper trailers. That was, for years, that was our largest base customer. I mean, we probably had 8 large municipals, the biggest being City of Salem, out near Roanoke. That was for, 20 years, that was our largest one. City of Salem got absorbed by the Roanoke Valley Solid Waste Authority. And the whole Tinker Creek transfer station by rail to Smith Gap landfill, that's all Roanoke Valley Solid Waste Authority. So they absorbed that into their solid waste authority. We lost that one. Madison County outside of Charlottesville was another big one. We actually used to run that for the county. Amelia employees were actually up there. I mean, they lived in Madison, but they were part of Amelia. And then that would get loaded and brought here. gosh, what was the other? Greene County. That's probably our current largest customer, municipal, again, outside of Charlottesville, County of Greene. Patrick County. We had Floyd County, and then Craig Newcastle. So that was like our base. We've slowly, Ivy, we just lost to Republic. That's now going to Old Dominion landfill. So that's our base, or used to be our base, that was, and then you'd have these event jobs, Duke Ash by rail, and you see this. So then you see a big spike in host fees and tons. If you pull, I mean, let's just say rail stopped today, right? And they pulled rail out. We're doing about 400 tons a day. So your host fee is going to be
A lot
less, 30. I mean, I remember the days of $30,000 a month.
That's it, yeah.
Am I probably, anyway. So it just ebb and flows with tons.
It's like Santa brought us a whole bunch of asbestos in December, right after Christmas. So it's interesting to look at the breakdowns. Thank you.
And-
Crystal.
You're welcome.
And the reason we break out asbestos, because that's
Different fees.
it's a different tip fee. Yeah.
Okay, as it should be.
Whoever's getting Virginia Center Commons will have a spike this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of.
Oh, wow.
yeah. That whole building.
Yeah.
Has the skin quarter landfill, I mean, a lot of us drive past that every day. Has that impacted our landfill?
It has not impacted ours. It has impacted Charles City, but for different reasons. The skin quarter is strictly a C&D landfill.
Right.
The group that owns that or took it over and bought it, they used to take all their C&D to Charles City because most of it comes out of Northern Virginia. And now they internalize it at Skin Quarter Landfill, which is a C&D site.
Well,
Green Ridge is still hanging out there. I mean, it's the landfill in Cumberland that GFL is proposing. It's slowly, thank goodness, slowly making its way through the process. See, I mean, I don't have any inside knowledge, but I mean, you can actually track it on DEQ's website. They have a whole website dedicated to that landfill, and you can actually track it and stuff, but it's still hanging out there.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments for Brian? All right, that concludes the landfill update. We'll move on to old and new business. I guess my question about alarms was kind of old business. That's been clarified. Do we have any old and or new business to attend to? Not aware of any myself.
Old business, I haven't got any more complaints about the trains blocking anybody. So I can't tell you if they have or haven't, but nobody's called me. So,
That's good.
yeah, I mean, that's all I've got for an update on that.
Is there, has there been any, anything to update in terms of the Vulture permit and any activity on that front?
I haven't received any.
I assume no news is good news
Yeah,
at this point. So
We've submitted our annual renewal for depredation permit. And expect to receive that.
all right. Well, that brings us to the end of the agenda. So unless there is additional or anything in new business, entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I was asking Crystal before today, wondering if we could learn more about her trainings of what she's, learning in regards to managing this and the rest of the county, just for our knowledge.
Sure. So I've recently completed the Management of landfill operations course. It's level 1 and level 2, which is what is required to be on site at the Maplewood landfill. I did successfully pass both of those tests, so I am now licensed. And most recently, I am now a certified floodplain manager for the county, which we needed. So I got that taken care of as well. And more training to come. It is never ending.
Thank you. That was a good point to bring up. Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you. And those were the certifications that Patty held. So just following in the footsteps, making sure we are still in compliance to be on site at the landfill.
Good.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning? Time is 9:26, 2 minutes longer than the previous meeting. Pretty much on track. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you so much for attending. That concludes this meeting.